specifically the SCA Rapier Combat, for the better part of 9 years now. Now, I have absolutely zero experience with mundane fencing. Everything I have learned by traveling throughout various kingdoms and just getting raw, right in the trenches, tournament experience. Now, I don't know all the technical terms. So if you have had any mundane fencing experience, you may have an advantage over me, but not as much as you think. Now, I started out in Texas, in the Kingdom of Castille. I moved up here about 4 years ago. Now, I have played in about 5 or 6 different kingdoms now, and largely, once they actually call it on, the rules aren't all that different from kingdom to kingdom. However, there are a few rules that everybody, no matter what kingdom they're in, they all ignore. We're going to go over some of those. First thing we're going to do today is, for this class session, what we're going to be doing, we're going to go over all of the fun stuff that everyone loves. It's not the singles, it's single sword and everything else. Cover the very basics over all of the weapon forms. Anyone have a preference what we start with? Case, dagger? Dagger. Dagger's good. All right. Okay. As Guarde stated in his class just previous. Now, I hold this belief very strongly, and I think that it's crucial for anyone who really wants to excel at this. You have to be able to use any weapons form against any weapons form at any time. Now, I live that. When I get out there, I take what I want. I don't care what my opponent brings. I'll fight him. Every weapons form has its advantages and its disadvantages. If you know what yours is, they don't know what theirs is, you have the advantage. And a problem, let's see, a lack of preparation on your opponent's part does not constitute a problem on your part. Anyone have any arguments or questions with that? Okay. Basic stance. With dagger, there are three basic stances that pretty much everyone uses. There's the defensive guard. Defensive guard, now I'm a lefty, so if you're right-handed, adjust accordingly. For a defensive guard, your defensive foot, or your right foot, and your dagger hand are forward, offensive foot, and your sword reversed. This is a reactionary guard, because your first thing is not to attack from here. What you're trying to do, you got your defenses out here playing this. This is to get your opponent to commit first, and then you do the long step and the counter strike. That's the defensive guard. The offensive guard, and again, very basic, everyone's seen this. Offensive foot, sword forward, defensive foot, dagger back. This is more offensive, of course, because you're attacking first, worrying about your defenses later. Now, this is probably my favorite stance, is the third one. And this is one of the keys, I think, for beating your opponent, beating opponents, because you get to play inside their head. And you get to show them something that they've never seen before, or seen very rarely, and don't understand it. I call it a twisted guard. So what happens with a twisted guard? Your feet are in an offensive position. Your strong arm, whatever, that leg is forward. For me, left foot forward. Now, my upper body's twisted, so the dagger is forward. Now, what this is, This is counterpunching. This is also, now, this, while it looks weird, this is a very aggressive stance. This is a passive-aggressive stance. So what happens here, there's only one direction where it's very, very difficult for me to go. That's backward. Because there's just, it doesn't work right, it doesn't flow. However, forward, yes. Forward, I can go very easily. And with this guard, you have not sacrificed 1 inch of your range. Although it looks like it because people are looking at your shoulders. They see the shoulders back, they see the sword back, the range is sacrificed. Now, all that happens between this guard and an offensive guard, the feet have never moved. And I have not lost 1 inch. So all this is bait, play with the dagger, and then your snap lunge. Those are pretty much the 3. You'll see variations of that, but those are the 3 primary. Everyone's seen a scorpion guard, but it's all pretty much, if Barrett's up here, we're still talking defensive guard.
Fencer's Iron Chicken? Yeah, whatever. In the mid-room, they call that the Iron Chicken. They're fighters
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've seen someone come out and try and do a double scorpion. I even have another one that's kind of fun. I call it a rat tail because I'll go into this guard.
Ooh.
Now, this is actually an offensive guard. It's just a variation of this. Just the sword is here. See, here I'm just gunsling. That's all it is. I'm betting that I'm faster than you. That's all it is. The sword is going to come out front. I haven't lost any range. The shot here will be right there. But see, whatever the stance is, what stance they're using will be dictated by their feet. Everyone has them, but not everyone uses them. Simple body mechanics. If you're left-handed and your left foot is backward, you're not going to do anything until that left foot comes forward. Now, with the dagger, there are, pretty much, my personal preference is I like keeping the dagger about waist level, right about here. From here, it's just like the windshield wipers on your cars. Dagger goes up, dagger goes down. All right? Now, who's heard, I don't know if you've heard, I know you've heard this. Has anyone else here heard a little theory about knowing your place in the universe? Oh, good. I got fresh people. Any philosophy majors or philosophy fanatics, whatever that, all that good stuff? 5 rings, all that good stuff? Okay. There is a very, very specific answer to the question I'm fixing to ask you. That question is, do you know where your place is in the universe? And right here, no, I'm looking for specific. You know where that is? Anyone? I know you did. I told you. I know you did. Anyone? All right. The answer to that question, the very specific answer, is between your shoulders. Anything that happens from the point of your shoulder out, in either direction, unless you decide to make it your problem, is someone else's. The only thing you have to worry about that is your primary concern and problem is what happens between the point of your shoulders. So, with that in mind, the windshield wiper defense with the dagger. The dagger goes up, the dagger goes out just far enough away to where their sword will not touch the point of my shoulder. And the dagger goes down. Again, arm doesn't, not out here, because again, I'm outside of my shoulder. That's somebody else's problem, not mine. And when it comes to a fight, I'm not that generous. But it's simply windshield up and down, just like the windshield wipers on your car. Because you do this all day. Now, I prefer keeping my dagger on a low line, or a mid line. Reason? Come on in. Come on in, join the party. I like keeping it on a low line or midline rather, simply because it's halfway between the low and the high. If I hold it up here, I have more area to cover to bring it down low. Reverse is true. If I have it down low, I have more area to cover up high. And against multiple opponents or someone throwing a lot of shots, I have to expend a lot more energy to do this and then back down. See? Now, all sorts of, oh, I love this one. Does anyone have any questions about anything so far? I try to keep everything just as simple as I possibly can. Yeah.
I missed it all.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll do a real quick review. I just told them about my principal philosophy. I know you're a big philosopher. Do you know where your place is in the universe? I want a very specific answer.
Here.
More specific.
More specific.
Yes.
Where I'm sitting.
Okay. Not specific enough.
Okay.
The main thing, my style, the way I fight goes, is your place in the universe is the area between your shoulders. Anything that's outside the point of your shoulders, that's somebody else's problem. All you have to do is defend this area. And so, that's why you want everything to keep it. That's why when you hear people say keep your defenses tight, that's what they mean. If you're going too wide, again, you're outside the point of your shoulder. Now, other things you can do to help lessen the area you have to cover. From here, from this guard here, does everybody see this? Now, simply, what I've just done, I've decreased the area that I actually have to defend. Because now instead of now my entire body is being covered by less than the entire dagger blade. But, by doing this, my range has increased by a foot. That is just the way the body works. Try it at home, whatever, that's just the way it works. Now, there are several things you can do with the dagger that are fun. Lots of fun. From an offensive guard, this is primary. You're a defensive weapon. This is your offense. This is your defense. And very, very rarely will this be used in an offensive manner from an offensive guard. Okay? From a defensive guard, the dagger is much more important. Because what's happened? You've got the dagger way out in front of you. Now, what the dagger does here, a little bit of movement covers a lot more of your body. However, the drawback is with this guard, you have less time to make that move. Simply because your dagger, all of your defenses are closer to your opponent. I mean, it's just simple physics. Cover a large area, but you got to react really quick. The dagger close to you, it doesn't cover as much area, but you have more time to react. Now, from this, the dagger, I'd say about 25% of the time here, and that's being fairly generous, the dagger can be used offensively. Simply because it's already there. It's mainly an honesty shot. Because from here, it's not expected, but yet, okay, let them know that there is something else out there that can get them. From a twisted guard, again, I admit this, my personal favorite. I've got a little bit of the best of both worlds and a lot of the worst of both worlds. Because, now, I've got the sword out, I've got the blade out there, so I cover a lot of my body, but I don't have as much reaction time. Okay? However, when I shift and throw the shot, now everything reverses. I cover a lot of the body, but, I cover less of the body, but I have more reaction time. The big drawback with this guard is the transition. Because from here to here, my body goes from being very profile and very angular to just like a billboard. And that's the drawback with that guard. Very basic stuff, very simple stuff. Experiment with on your own. Now, all of this is free advice, and hey, I'll be honest, you're getting what you're paying for. If it works for you, fine. Have a party, experiment with it, and use it in your weapons. Use it the way you want to. You're going to develop your own style. You will not be able to fight like me. I'm not going to be able to fight like you. That doesn't mean that I'm better than you, or you will be worse than me. What happens, I have found a style that works for me. You might find one thing that works here that I'm saying will work for you. Hey, take it, run with it. Run with it, and then, hey, we'll have a party on the field, and we'll have a lot of fun. That's the way it's supposed to be played. Now, any questions so far about the dagger? It's very simple, straightforward stuff. Okay. Next. What next? Which one will we cover next?
Buckler?
Buckler. Okay.
That was
Buckler we have a lot of fun with. Buckler we can have a lot of fun with. Now, maximum that this kingdom allows is a 20-inch diameter. Very obviously, I use a much, much smaller. This is probably the largest buckler I've ever worked with. I prefer anywhere from 10 to 13-inch bucklers. This is a 13. For me, buckler is a very active defense. I don't use it passively. I've seen so many people, they get the huge ones, and they strap it on, and it's like, okay, they might as well be going looking for a duke to hit or something. I don't know. That's all it is. It's a big shield. Buckler, okay, it's just a larger offhand. I prefer an edge-on guard. By edge-on, the edge of the buckler is out here. Now, with mine, that's where my buckler strap stays, right there on the fingers. The reason is because with very little movement, all I have to do is make a fist, and the defense changes. For example, see the hole in the chest? Now, all I did was made a fist. And that catches, redirects, all with minimal effort on my part. Now, that's the other trick to my style I'll tell you right now. I'm also very lazy. The less energy I expend now, and the more energy I force you to expend now, the less energy you'll have later, and the more I will have later. Now, this is coming from somebody who has been in a couple of bouts, single-point bouts, that have taken upwards of 30 to 45 minutes to play. And yes, these were that long. And this was not just standing there posing. No, this was active. This was work. Now, with buckler in an offensive guard, key point here is your opponent right-handed or left-handed? This is a very common mistake. A lot of people don't see it. Being left-handed, I see it a lot, especially against right-handed opponents. Here, do you have a buckler, please? Okay. Let's go over here first. Now, with the edge-on guard, and buckler, can everyone see the big problem with this? We have all-handed opponents. Now, the closest part of his body to me is unprotected. Well, in this stance, the closest part of his body to me is his buckler and his protected arm. However, that protected arm is not on my sword side. The part of his body that is closest to my sword is unprotected. Now, even from an offensive guard, go to an offensive. Now, again, with the edge on, same thing. The buckler, this is all covered wonderfully. Very, very good. However, I'm not going to throw a shot across his body. Everything, you usually get a 4 to 6 inch stripe, starting at the forehead and going all the way down that front leg. And it's open, and it's the closest part to you. You'll see, this is exactly what you'll see. This is what you will see. Now, against same-handed opponents, now see, that's not bad. That's fine. Because there, in order to get that unprotected part, I have to cross shoot. It's simple geometry. Short between 2 points, straight line. To throw this shot here, I'm throwing an arc. Gives him that much more time to react. If I want to throw that quick shot, I'm throwing it right into the teeth of his defenses. Now, again, this is something you will have to face. This is something you will have to scout out and you'll have to look at for your opponents. Is he right-handed or left-handed? And think about this. Now, the best way to cover up that slot. There is a problem with it, and I'll tell you what it is. The best way to cover it up. From this position, take your buckler, tuck it under here. Now, what this does, the body and the leg are covered beautifully. There's a big hole with this shoulder because the buckler ain't getting there. But everything else is very, very covered. From the twisted guard, pretty much the same story. See, pretty much you got the same slots and all this other fun stuff. The advantage with doing it this way is, like I showed earlier with simply making a fist, covers and redirects with minimal effort on your part.
Actually, on a same sword side opponent, if for example, we were facing each other, this would actually be the better defense, I think.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
twisted stance.
Yeah. Now,
Covers more.
Yes, it does.
Covers everything, actually. Think about it.
Well, but again, remember the drawback?
Yeah.
You have less time to
Time to
react
react.
to it. So you have to see.
Here's an interesting question for you.
Yeah.
Ambidextrous opponents.
Okay. Remember the weapons form they're using. What hand is the sword in? What foot is forward? If their offensive foot is forward, I don't care if their sword's in their left hand and their left foot is forward. I don't care. Until
Nothing else matters.
Yeah, because that's an offensive guard. That's an offensive guard, so that means they're going for your throat. They're not going to go back all that much, and they're going to be more focused on offense and trying to hit you. If they are into twisted, which I'll admit is fairly rare, but I won't be surprised to see more people using it. That's where you say, okay, what are they setting you up for? You're playing
That's a draw. Somebody's drawing you out there.
Yeah, you're playing poker at that point. That's all it is. Now, from a defensive guard with the buckler, way, way out there, okay? Again, you're covering a lot of your body with minimal effort on your part, all right? Big, big problem with this guard. Can anyone see what it is? It has, okay. From the defender's point of view, from my point of view, I now have approximately 32 inches from my body, I have a 13-inch diameter blind spot. Because what all they simply do, see them in a defensive guard, play with their heads. The way you play with their heads in that guard, okay, from a guard here, drop the guard, maneuver the point to where it's in that blind spot. You don't have to move. You stand there, you just play that. If they don't move, you will. And then it's like, remember that reaction time where it's cut? Now they've got to cut that even more. See?
They won't know what's coming until it goes outside that circular area, and that's a lot of area.
Yes. At a 13-inch, this probably cuts off approximately, at a normal fighting range, this cuts off about 4 feet diameter, 2 to 3 feet diameter of my viewing area, what I can see. Now, that's with a 13-inch buckler. With these people, yes.
The 20-incher.
It goes up exponentially. Every other inch, add another foot or so. So 20 inches here, I can see his head. And that's about it. And if you can't see your opponent There are two things you're going to do. You're either going to die or you're going to change your stance. Remember the active Darwinism? That's it. That's what the class is. Yes?
Do you ever find the straight on, can that close that slot off?
It can close the slot because if you'll notice, the slot that I use, what I do to close that slot off, I do put it there. Now, I personally don't like it. I recognize its usefulness. I personally don't like it because it gets in my way. It gets in my way. I'm not comfortable. Logically, I know it works, and it has kept me alive at a few points, and not using it has killed me a lot. So, I mean, it's just one of those, it's kind of like Guarde saying, sitting back, and you don't do it. I mean, regardless what the facts show, same thing with me. It's like, it works, but no.
I hate it.
No, don't like it. It works, but no.
Have you ever seen anybody use an active straight on to any effectiveness?
No.
It's not a loaded
I have
question.
one time.
No. To any effectiveness? No. The reason, remember this 13-inch blind spot here? Now it's mobile.
I've seen one guy that managed to use that successfully, but I don't know the caliber of fighters he was fighting against.
Right.
All I know is I saw him use it successfully, but it was much smaller. He had a shield that big around.
Yeah.
And he had it straight out here. Oh, this is all he did with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked. It worked wonderfully.
Yeah, see,
Something like the other one.
yeah, because contrary to the popular beliefs that everyone in the SA has been trying, I don't know, with the rapier combat, bigger is not better. Bigger just means I'm depending on luck to keep me alive.
See, this is where it becomes oxymoronic because the weapons are faster.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you can't afford to have heavier and bigger.
Right.
You have to be smaller and quicker.
Mm-hmm. And what is, other than the hand, what is the closest part of your body to your opponent? Always. Other than your hand, what is it?
Probably your leg.
No, your toe.
Oh.
Whole body's target. And if you got this huge 3-foot blind spot and I can't see your waist, I can't see your sword, there is something down there.
Stapled to the head.
Well, you don't even have to stay, you don't even have to hit it. Get their attention. Now, we'll go into the ground game too. Hey, that's
You missed
just,
the ground class. That was pretty nice.
yeah. I'm going to be covering it too. It's pretty much the same thing I'm covering. But that's pretty much it with Buckler. Again, yeah, you can go passive, the passive route. Again, if you decide to do the passive route, just like the dagger. Waist, because here it's not so far out, not so close in. You're covering a relative amount of lot of your body, but minimal movement. From here, from this angle, turning the wrist over, that covers my shoulder, that covers my lower legs, right there. The elbow has not moved. I'm just turning the wrist. Say, just like it's the windshield wiper. You just have a much larger blade. Now, you see, there is a way to use the buckler offensively. It's impressive. It's very impressive, and it's very much an attention getter. If you like to think in paradox cane, this is role reversal. So you're going to have the buckler attacking the sword. It's punch blocking. And if you don't know what that is, got your buckler faced, whatever, closing up, and you punch with the buckler at the point of your opponent's sword. Now, what's going to happen?
Well, there's several things that could happen.
No. What will happen?
You don't move his sword.
No, he's not. You will move his sword. So what's going to happen is going to be a big, loud thunk. They're going to get this really surprised Roger Rabbit look on their face. The sword will flex just like it's supposed to, and then the blade will skip off away from your body. Path of least resistance. Right. And now, what's that done? That has cleared the way. You've gotten their sword out of your way for yours. Granted, they still have their buckler there. Now, that's not a common shot. You're not going to see it a whole lot because, it's again, that's one of these honesty shots. People will yell and scream at you because, oh, that's not right. No, they just haven't seen it. It's kind of like this twisted guard or running around or sniping. People complain about sniping because, oh, that's not honorable. You're not giving me a chance to kill you.
I'm not supposed to.
A lack of preparation on your part does not constitute a problem on mine. See? Same thing. It's just another way to use the weapons form. Okay? Now, that is the only legal way you can use the buckler offensively. And that shot will probably be that combination would probably be successful like maybe 1 out of 10 times. Very, very poor percentages for making that shot, but it's more of an honesty shot and a wake-up call that, you're basically crawling inside your opponent's head and mucking around with everything that's in there. I love that. That's probably my biggest strength. That's probably what's gotten me as far as I have so far more than anything else. Is because I know what my opponent's doing, I figured out how to get inside their head, and they let me run around and play there. And then at that point, I'm dictating the fight.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like you're taking the point of the blade
Yes.
and the buckler. Is
Yes,
that correct?
that is correct, yes.
Then I may have an alternative for you.
Okay.
If you read the Silva,
Mm-hmm.
he recommends that when you're blocking with the buckler, you take it from an edge on to an angle,
Yes.
allowing you to steer it,
Yes.
and then using that offensively puts you in position for a stroke.
Yes. What I was saying, that is the main way that I use, just like what you just said with the Silva. My whole idea with the using just at the point, it's more like it shouldn't be used commonly because it's commonly you get predictable. You get predictable, you get dead. But it's just like an honesty. The Silva, great stuff on buckler stuff, great stuff. However, just because it's good, don't throw everything else out. Mix it up, arrange it, develop your own form. Like I said earlier, you're not going to fight like me. I'm never going to fight. I'm not going to be able to fight like you because our bodies are different. They might not be different that much, but just enough to where you have to develop your own style. Any other questions on bucklers? What's next? Cloak. Remember what I said about bigger is better? I rarely ever use anything larger than this for a cloak. If I do, if I have something larger, I'll fold it up where it's about this size. There are two ways you can use the cloak. You can flare it. You've seen all this going here. Now this takes a bit of effort, and in a long fight, that could make a difference. You've got someone going. Main thing with this, the good thing about this, you've got your defenses in, it's almost like perpetual motion. Because everything's covered, right? Everything's really nicely covered.
Timing.
There are two problems with it, actually. Timing's one. What's the other?
Head.
No, the hand.
Wow, that's in the middle.
Yeah, it's in the middle, and it's moving the least.
Yeah.
That's it. So you get the timing of this down,
Slap.
that's one. You can get around it. If the hand isn't moving, or if the hand, yeah. Now, you hit the hand, it goes away. It just goes away. Now, that's one. The other one, like Charlie was saying, it's a club. I prefer the club. Because all of it, it's not impenetrable. You can poke through this. If you were using live weapons, and this were just a regular piece of material, the sword would go through that easily. However, I'm going to use the mass, the sheer mass of this, and knock it away. Now, it works really good with foils and epées. It works supremely with schloggers. Oh yeah.
Heavier, more mass.
Heavier blade, moving a little bit slower. A little bit of a little. See, you don't need a whole lot. Now, just for a quick reference back, when I was doing the flaring thing, everyone see the way the wrist is going there? Now, for the club thing, now remember this back to the other forms? You still got the windshield wiper. It's going down, it's going up. That's it. See, pretty much, and now, once you get to singles, remember what happened? Now the windshield wiper, you can still have the same thing with single, it's just instead of the hinge being at your wrist, it's now at your elbow. From here it goes up, down, down. Anything else? Fine. Now, keeps everything nice, tight, clean, keeps you alive, keeps them away, which is good, until you're ready to go get them. Now, Guarde is much better with the cloak. He is actually much better with the cloak than I am. I have found one use for cloak on the ground when you've been legged. I found one really good use for it. Makes a really good place to sit down, also you don't get dirt on your pants. That's about the only use I've found for it on the ground.
Once you're down, it's bad.
Well, for me, he's better at it than I am with the cloak. And like I said, I have a much different fighting style than he does for several different reasons, actually. But this is where you have to develop your own styles.
So I have seen cloak used effectively.
I've seen it used ground. I couldn't tell you how they did it, because I saw they did it, but I don't know how.
I was having an offering to dark powers right before you.
Okay. That's that. Okay.
That's what lime chicken was for.
Case. Oh, Case. Case is the fun one. Case is the one form everybody grabs. They love saying, "Oh, this is so cool." This is actually the most difficult form we have. Because, oh yeah, it's so cool. I'm going to just wave these things in your face and you're going to throw your head on my points, right? What this means is, okay, I'm depending on luck to get through this and I have no skill whatsoever. Now, historically, people walking around wearing these things in any city, there was two things everyone thought of people wearing two swords. Thugs and bullies. And that's as high on the social food chain as they got, because that's all they were looked at as. Now, fighting Case, to do it right, to do it better, to do it with skill and competency. Everything we've just learned, remember, offensive, defensive, it's the exact same stuff. There is a catch though with Case. This is what makes it so tricky. You have two long blades. Now, am I an offensive left-handed guard, or am I a defensive right-handed guard? Exactly. That is exactly
Both.
right.
You're in both.
There's only one person who knows which guard that is.
That's you.
Me. Now, no, my bookie doesn't know because I don't tell him that. But now from here, it's like, yes, I could be in either one. I could be in either one. This is a mental preparation. Just the way it works. If you try to say, I'm actually in both, what you'll end up doing is like trying to becoming the best on the planet in Rapier and the best knight on the world at the same time. What happens? You're going to suck at both. You'll choose one or the other. Okay, say I'm a left-handed offensive. Now, to make the switch from this to right-hand defensive, takes maybe a quarter of a second mentally. There's no physical preparation. And then from here, same thing. Now, this can present some really, really bizarre stances because everything else works the same way. You have your offensive guard, defensive. You have more or less, it's an elongated windshield wiper because you don't want to swipe your own blades. Now, you can play some really interesting guards here. Now, your basic left-handed offensive guard, your basic left-handed defensive guard, same thing. The exact opposite. Right-handed offensive, left-handed defensive. Now, twisted. Twisted is obvious what you're in. Because, again, the body's twisted. Right hand's defensive, Left hand's offensive, but remember that honesty shot with the dagger and all?
A little longer reach.
You've got a longer reach, and they have to pay more attention to this because this big sticker's out there. Now, now, I have one. Now, if you were in Kiar's class, he covered a point where he said, when you put a sword down, put something down, they'll forget about it. There's something else. This is one I've used. I've seen a lot of newer people with case try to use it, but they don't understand it, so they just throw it away real quick. I call it an archer's guard. Okay? Archer's guard. Now, granted, it's an offensive guard. This is purely an offensive guard. The guard is here. Now, what am I doing? What am I actually doing? There is a trick to this guard. Can anyone see it?
You ready to strike?
Not really. Close. Very close, though. Very close. You want to see
High
it?
low.
Not real. No.
No.
No. You want to see this? You want to see what I'm doing?
But your right side is not using it defense.
That's the closest thing we've had so far. What I'm actually doing, I'm fighting single.
Blocking your head.
No, I'm not. I'm fighting with a single sword. This weapon does not move at all. What does the eye follow? The eye follows movement. So this is moving, this is playing. So what does this do? Just like when you're shooting a bow. When they start to close in, this is a defensive stop thrust. As we're fighting, they start to get hungry, and they start to see this. They start to close in. Back foot, offense foot forward. Fires forward as stop thrust. Now, and again, I'm still fighting single. I've just reloaded that bow. It's a nice beginner one if you can pull it. If you actually get to where you think it that way. If you start trying to fight from here and throw all these shots here, all you manage to do is you pull your head closer to your opponent. Your head will be the closest. Your head will be closer than your own foot.
Well, what I was thinking was from that position there, switch stepping. Once your left sword is in motion,
Yes.
is then switch stepping and stepping in closer to your opponent, and then bringing that into an offensive position.
Yeah. Now, yes. See, this is where a lot of these newer people that have tried this, they've tried this guard. That's where they run into problems. Because remember what I was saying about the billboard earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have this billboard going forward.
Okay.
See,
Because I was thinking the same thing as when you were stepping backwards, only instead of going backwards with them, taking it forwards. Now I see what you're talking
right.
about.
Because see, when you step backward with this guard, all of your major kill zones that you have to defend are going away.
Not into.
Right. They're going this. Okay. Just tactically, how many times have you ever seen archers attack? They either go static and fire volleys from range, or they'll step back behind the shields and the spears and have a party from there. Again, you're doing the same. It's pretty much the same principle, just using a little bit different weapons. If you advance with this, odds are you're not going to do it that long. You get frustrated with it and go away and throw it away. Again, see, you can use any or all of these all at the same time. Now, remember my rat tail one? That gets really weird with this one. It's really bizarre, it's really twisted, and its primary function is to make my opponent step back and go, what the hell is he doing? Effectiveness? Not very.
Can I see it? I've never seen it.
Remember, I showed you my rat tail guard here?
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Okay. I have a rat tail guard. Yeah, offensive.
Okay.
Okay? It's an offensive, purely offensive. It's just play with your head.
Kind of ugly.
Kind of ugly. I'm purely gunslinger. It's just
yes,
like
you are.
now. It looks even uglier with case.
That's nasty.
Yes, something ugly and something nasty is going to come out of that. Effective? Oh no. The most effective thing I can do with this is run away. Freely admit that to you. That's purely a psych job.
Yeah, that's an imitation move. Or an intimidation
I've
move.
seen that in heavy.
Yeah,
Same
yes.
thing.
Purely intimidating. There's only one effective shot I can do with this from this guard, and it's right here. It's purely intimidation because I'm trying to take that closest hand. Bang. Never attack with this. You do this, someone's going to the meat market, and it ain't going to be your opponent. You know, have a nice time while you sit down and watch the rest of the tournament. But that's pretty much how that goes. Now, ground game with weapons. This is going to be entertaining. I enjoy this. Now, again, I've developed this ground game because of my body. I have atrocious knees. My knees suck, to put it bluntly. So I've developed a ground game that works for me. What I do with that ground game, is a variant on mine. When I sit down, bad leg goes out forward. The reason is logical. Leg gets stabbed, you're not going to want to put any tension, or as little tension as possible on that leg. So you're going to relax all the muscles as you can. Natural position, that leg's going out. You're not going to restrict it and tighten up all those thighs or calf it up. It's going straight out. Now, good leg is folded under it. And for the kicker, I don't point my leg at my opponent. I go at a 90 angle. So, what you end up facing with me on the ground, and I'll tell you, this is the ground game. If I fight any of you in the tournament and I lose a leg, this is the ground stance you will see me use. I will be fighting here. Okay? Now, what this does for me, now, the good part about this, I'm comfortable. I am so comfortable. Remember me saying I was lazy? Oh yeah, it feeds right into this. I'm very, very exquisitely comfortable. Now, the other thing that I've done,
Narrow the target.
narrow the target. Now, also, what's happening with my back hand?
It's thoroughly covered.
But see, it's also become my
Foot.
back foot. What I'll do from here, you have to come that much closer into me.
It's also harder to get your good leg.
Yeah. Well, if they're going to go this far to get my good leg,
They're dead.
why are they going to pass up this when my whole chest and head are much closer? Now, remember we're going to go back again, what Guarde was saying earlier about people forgetting. Case, place it. Place it somewhere where you can grab it without looking. Because what's going to happen? It's like one of those bad melodramas that you see on vaudeville. Get them on the ground, wait to 10 count, they're going to charge in on the guy on the ground. They're going to. So they're going to charge the guy on the ground. This sword's going to be way out here. Guess what they've forgotten about?
The other one.
That's all this is. Yeah, you'll might end up with shoulder, but they will end up sucking up blade. With dagger, for example, last Pennsic. Two years ago at Pennsic, I was fighting a guy from the mid-round. We're fighting, I had dagger. He had dagger, he legs me, I go down, I place the dagger. He sees me without a dagger in my hand. What does he do? He does what he thinks he saw. He tosses his dagger away. Because the dagger wasn't in my hand, I didn't have it, therefore, I have to be honorable. It's like,
He threw his.
it's like, let it. Do the 10 count, he closed in on me. And he sold his soul to the devil to make the parry. Because my sword was here on my throat. His sword was right here. I mean, he could get me. It takes some work. But my other hand grabbed the dagger, and just like a heat-seeking missile, threw it right at his belly. The reason he sold his soul to the devil, because he got that offhand, he saw it, reacted quickly enough, yoked my hand, down, and he ended up on the ground, right literally, his knees on top of mine, and his hand over my wrist, in his crotch, and my dagger right between his legs. Now, I wasn't touching him, and he wasn't touching me. His only response that he could say to this was, I thought you threw that away. My response was, did you see me throw it away? He says, now what do we do? He says, well, Here are options. It's pass-fail. Clean break. Because like, yeah, you might kill me. I will hurt you. He decided he opted for the clean break. Then he did a smart thing. He would pick up a dagger. So see, now with Buckler, love the Buckler. Borrow yours real quick. From that same guard, from that same ground game guard, I admit I bring armor to the fencing field. Cause, well, remember what Kiara saying that cup shots, they're legal. That means
Somebody's going to do it.
they're legal. That means someone will use them. I admit, I will. So, how do you use armor in this game? From the ground game. From here, remember my ground game. The Buckler, I don't want anything occupying his hand because it's my back leg, right? Looks funny, looks stupid, all that good stuff.
Especially that one.
Effective as hell.
Nice and comfy.
And with a big one.
Nice and comfy. Can you get around it? Yeah, but it takes 2 moves. First thing you have to do is flip
Flip it out of the way.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, now see, and see, none of those are dirty tricks. All that is a little bit of preparation on your part.
Planning.
Yes. And lack of preparation on your opponent's part does not constitute a problem on your part. Simple. Keep it simple. If you see something, there's a reason for it. What are they trying to tell you? Are they trying to say, I'm that good, I don't know what I'm doing, or I want you to think I'm not good? One of those is good, the other 2 are bad. It's just varying degrees of badness. Now, any other questions? I'm probably wrapping up for lunch. Yeah, probably wrapping up for lunch here real quick. Any other questions, Ruth?
Anything
Yes.
about single?
Single. Well, single's going to be the next class because that's I'm doing that after lunch. Miss Maiden?
And then we did that. Right?
See, that's the other thing. See, after this, it's going to be an application of what you've learned today.
Yeah. There will be a test. Huh?
Yes. Well, there will be a test. There are only 2 grades.
Pass, fail.
Yes.
Test
Go, no, no.
anxiety. Test
The
anxiety.
pass-fail.
Go.
All right. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Yes, but I can cover them later.
Okay, sure. No problem.
If the train leaves Copper Tree, trains from Copper Tree, at the same
Yes.
time, one's traveling at 30 miles an hour, one's traveling at 60 miles an hour, at what point will they collide?
Never. Because trains aren't period. Be more hands-on and active. Any demonstration I need to do, I'll be doing up here. Last class session, what I basically covered was a lot of the very, very basics about all of the other weapons forms. The one weapons form I did not cover was single. That was intentional. Because, single is the bread and butter. That is the building blocks. If you have everything else, if you know how to use everything else, you better know how to fight single. Because if you don't know how to fight single, all of the other forms, they're going to be, at best, atrocious. Because, like I said, you lose an arm, guess what? You're fighting single. A lot of the ground game I was showing, predominantly, it was singles. Even some of the ways I was using the case, it was basically fighting single. So single is like the bread and butter of what we do. Always, always, always practice your single. I don't care if it's just an exclusion of everything else. If you know single, you know everything else. Now, with that in mind, we're fixing to get very, very, very detailed and very, for lack of a better word, anal about the mechanics of what go into single combat. Most people put out, as I've said earlier, I have no collegiate background. However, the people that trained me were incredibly detailed and technically oriented. So much so that, yes, I've become that. Probably my biggest thing is I'm a sniper, and I'm also a technician. And what allowed me to become a sniper was because I am a technician. I know how the body works, what it will do, what it will not do. Now, for example, well, not for example, this is where it all starts. How do you build a house? You build a house with a roof first. Where do you start building a house? Same thing we're doing here. Foundation your feet. I don't care who you are. If you're Guarde, you have the cerebral palsy, you have some other things, you only have one leg, I don't care. Your feet are going to determine your style. If your footwork is off, or if it's bad, the rest of it's going to be bad. Because you could have the best form, you could have the best shots, but if you can't control your feet, you will have no speed, no power, no range, no point control. What you'll end up looking like is Errol Flynn. Any of you familiar with Errol Flynn, you know that, oh, he looks so good in there with Robin Hood. Truth is, he could have fought his way out of a wet paper bag. The real technician in that was Basil Rathbone. Check it out sometime. Watch Basil. Primo stuff. Anyway. Have anybody else in here done any sports? Basketball, football, soccer, karate, volleyball, don't care. Anything. Okay. All right. Football. Quarterback drops back for a pass. How does he throw the ball? Where he throws the ball? Which way is his front foot pointing?
Where the direction is throwing the ball.
Right. Basketball. You sitting there fix to take a free throw? Anybody? Basketball? And we'll take a stab at this one. When you're taking a shot, when you're taking a jump shot, where are your feet pointing?
Yeah.
Okay. Soccer. Soccer. When you plant your foot to take a shot, where's the ball going to go? Now, fencing. Exactly the same thing. Where that front toe is pointing, that's where the shot is going to go. Now, it's possible you could kick the foot offline and still throw the shot, but, and I will be able to, I can demonstrate this. The more you take that foot offline, the more you take range off of your shot. And this is what I'm going to show you is all cumulative. So pretty much, I think pretty much I can safely say that I can pretty much add a foot, just about anyone's range in here, with maybe 2 or 3 things. But anyway, like the foot, toe, the front knee. If that's where they're pointing, that's where the shot's going to go. That's just the way the body works. And it's just very simple. Can't explain any better than that. You want to get more detail? Fine, let's go talk to physiology professors or whatever in college. Go talk to some doctors, but accept it. This is the way the body works. Now, if you do have some physical handicaps, like say Guarde, who can't for some reason, for whatever with his cerebral palsy, he can't get his toe to put there. So fine. You know what the idea is, so let's adapt it somehow. This is what we're looking for. You can't get that? That's fine, what we can get. That's fine, what can we get out of it? If this is what he can get, and if he can get that consistently, fine. Work with it. Work with, now this is what you want. If your body can't do that, get as close to it as your body will let you. Do not fight the limitations of your own body. That's where you will get hurt. And we don't want that. The idea here is to do it as close to this as you can. Do it right. Now, okay, did it right once? Okay, fine. Can you do it again? Keep that up. It's very, very simple. And that's the whole name of the game here for this, is keeping it simple. You know, military KISS principles. Now, from the feet, still at the feet. Now, that's just the front foot. Back foot is just as important as the front foot. Back foot. Flat on the ground. This is where your speed, your power, everything else comes from this. This just directs your point. Front foot directs your point control. Back foot controls everything else. The more you have your foot flat on the ground, the more of a margin of error you'll have in your shot, and you'll have more of a stable platform to fire off of. You come up on your foot, come up on the ball of your foot like this, you can still pull off the shot, but you have a smaller platform, and you have to be that much more precise because your margin of error is now that much smaller. Now, with footwork. If you have bad footwork, that's fine. Make it work for you, all that good stuff. I don't care what your feet look like. There is one cardinal sin you should never, ever, ever do. When you're throwing a shot, and you've all seen this happen, throw a shot, and that back foot rolls. How many people have seen that? Now, you know why you don't? There's a legitimate reason, a legitimate physical reason why you don't want to do that. Now, safety-wise, okay, yeah, it's legal and all that good stuff. I don't want to see it because, I personally don't want to see it because, suppose you miss that shot. Now, you have to escape and get out, and you don't got time to recover, which will happen. You've all seen this. Now, when you collapse, the biggest way to collapse, fall down, you know. Now, watch this. Foot flat on the ground. I'm lunging. Now, something happens. Either the ground slips under me, whatever, I slide, or my opponent does something really I wasn't expecting. I lose my footing, I'm going down. Foot flat on the ground. Way to get out of it and not get hurt. I'll bruise my pride, but I can live with that. Knee buckles, okay? Knee collapses just like it's supposed to. Body leans back like it's supposed to, and you can end up all the way on the ground. And you know what? You got your prize bruised, nothing else. Now for the bad part. That's the proper way and the good way to do it. The bad way. Ankle rolled. Now, the knee, kick the knee, that's as far as my knee's going. You can't go any further. Leaning back, I can go to here. Any further than that, we'll start in alphabetical order, starting with the Achilles tendon. And we'll go after what everything's going to be ripped, popped, and torn from the Achilles tendon all the way to the hip. It's an expensive way to learn because you're going to be 6 to 8 months in a long, very uncomfortable cast, and usually through a summer. And you're going to be walking around like, I don't know, Frankenstein's monster. It's very painful. It hurts because everything gets torn. Ligaments, tendons, bad. That's why if you're going to do this, fine. Learn to do it the right way. If for nothing else, just so that I don't have to ride with you to a hospital. Okay? Because, I mean, your insurance companies won't like you. You're going to traumatize your opponent. Because then they think, oh my God, what did I do? But see, that's the one cardinal sin I would, if anything, that's the one thing I would like everyone to get out. Just don't roll that ankle. Because it's not doing you any good. You have no power. You have no energy. You have nothing. And all you're doing, you're putting yourself at risk. And, I mean, I might not know you, but I mean, I don't dislike anyone enough to do that, to have that done to them. Okay? Now, but that pretty much covers, start. Basic footwork. Start with the footwork. You ever seen a ballet? Okay, I don't know, fifth position, whatever. Fine. Kick it out about here. Shoulder width apart. Bend the knees. This is where the important part is. Knees get bent. That's the only thing that bends. And when you fire, back leg goes straight, the front leg keeps you from falling down. That's it. At no time, notice the body, the upper body does not lean. Think of your body, if your feet are your foundation, your torso are the walls and roof. How many buildings in the world lean? There's only one. And I'm willing to bet that you're not the one person that can lean and still stand up. if nothing else, your head is now closer to your opponent than your foot. And that's always a bad recipe. And now, this way, you got faster shot, faster recovery, and you're balanced. If you're balanced, you can move anywhere. Forward, backward, side to side. If you're leaning, you're slower. You're off balance. You're predictable. And you can move 2 directions. The direction you're moving, and with a little effort, the reverse. That's it. Any questions so far? Now remember, from the build, now we go back to, we've got all these things here, and now we're going to go to the shoulders. Body's not leaning, we're assuming the footwork is proper, we're assuming the torso is not leaning. Now we're going to go to the shoulders. Remember earlier about your place in the universe defending your shoulders? Okay, now we're using the offensive portion of that. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? Now, assume point A is your back shoulder. Point B is the tip of your sword. With your good footwork, not leaning, torso fully straight up, you make a straight line from point A to point B. Full extension on the arm, shoulders straight, not breaking the wrist, not breaking the elbow, not here, here. Reach out and touch someone, okay? This will give you your range. All of this works properly. If all of this works properly, you do all this, and you do this consistently, you will get your maximum effective range. Basically, you can draw from that point, you can draw an imaginary circle all the way around your body, because this is your full lunge. You need any more range, you bend your knee. Don't lean forward. Leaning forward doesn't give you more range. It really doesn't. Just here. But you can draw an imaginary circle all the way around you. Anything outside of that circle, you can't hit. Anything inside of that circle, it lives or dies at your wish. You can see it, you can hit it. You can hit it, you can kill it. Simple. Bang. Now, for me, from my back foot, from a full lunge, I know that anything within 10 feet of my back foot is mine. It is well within my range. Now, you will have to find your own range because it's different for everybody. I know someone who has monster reach, and his is 21 feet. We've measured it. Yes, but that's with everything going right. This guy was 6'4", 2-dimensional. I mean, 6'4", literally 2-dimensional. His sleeves for his shirts, he used a king-size pillowcase for each sleeve. And that's it. But, now, so we have 3 feet of arm, we have 3 feet of blade. Now for the rest of it, yes, that's just his lunge. And now, the fun part, see, the 10 feet, whatever am I saying? That's being very conservative on my part. I stretch out, I do things like I'm supposed to, stretch out all the good stuff. I can get up to 12 to 13. Now, remember, we're talking about a game where a 2-inch bend in a foil requires, to get a 2-inch bend, takes only ½ an inch of compression. So we're talking ½ range will give you 2 inches of bend. That's the way the science works out. Don't believe me? Fine. Don't take my word for it. Go try it at home. Go try it at home and you can prove it yourself. If you find something else wrong, do correct me. I have no problem with people correcting me on the facts. Okay? Now, all of these things that I've said, from the footwork all up to the shoulders, is all cumulative. You take your toe offline, your front toe, your knee offline, or just one of them. You put your knees online, your toes off. That's 2 inches that you're cheating yourself out of. Your knee off, that's 2 to 4. Now, since it is cumulative, that right there is a maximum of 6 inches that you've just cheated yourself out of. You don't get your shoulders in line. That's anywhere from 6 to 8. And again, this is all cumulative. So we're already talking maximum. We're already talking actually minimum 10 inches, maximum up to about a foot. In some cases, maybe a foot and a half. Just by not putting the shoulders in line with the toe. The more things you do to break up the line, the more it takes off. Now, I have come up with a little bit of the game. I simply refer to it as the game. It's a drill you can do at home. It helps. It covers two things. It covers your range, and it covers calibration. What this game is, you take your sword. You know, you're all deciding you want to having a lot of fun. You want to do some drills. Now, I'll be honest with you again. I have the same opinion of drills that probably all of you have. Drills are boring. I hate drills. They're tiring. They're a waste of time. They hurt because they're no fun. I agree with you. However, they work. List all the complaints you want. They work. I'll tell you a few drills, and I'll tell you what happened to me for doing these drills. But this one I'm talking about with the game. The idea is you take a fixed point. You take your sword at a fixed point, like a wall. Wall's a good thing, doorknob, door jamb, whatever. You want something that you can hit. Now, the idea is see how far away you can get from that point, do a full lunge, and just touch that point at a full lunge. Meaning, if you get a bend in the blade, you're too close. Back up. Lunge again. There's a bend in the blade, you're too close. Back up. Until you can throw a full lunge, everything right, toe, knee, shoulders, full extension, and just touch that point. Because when it comes to practical use, with all the energies flowing, juices flowing tournaments, you'll have that half-inch compression you need to get that 2-inch bend. You'll have it. It will be there. I'm willing to put money on that. Any questions so far on that? We will do that a little bit later here to demonstrate that with whoever. We'll just show you. But anyone can do this. Everyone's range will be different. You have to find the range that works for you. Because of the body mechanics, everyone's range will be different. You've got to learn to work with in your own body. Any questions so far? Okay then. Now, another drill. Again, this is all of these drills are assuming footwork, everything here. Footwork ain't right, none of this will work. Back foot, front foot, toe, point, knee. Now, take your sword. With the tip of your sword, like a doorknob, whatever, using index finger and the thumb only. 4 points. Imagine the doorknob has 4 compass points. Tap each compass point. First go one direction, then go the other. Go one direction, then go the other. That's a point control drill. You do it right, what's going to happen after about 30, 40 seconds? Your forearm will feel like it's on fire. Because you're using muscles in your forearm that you ain't used before. Or you're using them that you may have used them, but not in this way. Now, what this does with all of these other things, that builds up your point control. Now, again, this is a drill. I despise this drill. However, the results got to the point where, at a practice, with the people that train with me, we would take quarters. We would take those quarters and we would give them to our opponent. And our opponent would take them somewhere on their body. For the duration of that night, that quarter was the only valid target. So if I taped it on my shoulder and he hit my chest anywhere else other than the shoulder, it wasn't a good shot. He had that quarter. And we got good enough with our point control that we were taping the quarter on the knuckle under the belt. And we were getting it. So, yeah, the drills are boring. Drills are boring. They're repetitive. They waste time. They're no fun. They're a royal pain. But they work. You might come up with your own drills. Hey, if it works for you, run with it. Take it as far as you want. Tell other people about it. But it has to be done properly. And this bit with the footwork, all that good stuff, go to a collegiate class. And they'll probably tell you more or less the same thing we're telling you here. Look in all of your books, the manuals if you have them, whatever. With the exception of a few drawings where you'll see people hunched over there. Look at even with these drawings, look at the feet. Toe and knee are pointing at their opponent. Back foot is flat platform. And in most of them, though, if you go to your London Masters, they're not doing this. They're doing this. Just like you're supposed to. Just like you should be. Any other questions so far? Okay. Who wants to try the game with me? Well, not with me, but they're going to give you an example. Okay, come on. Now, first thing I'm going to do, I will put the stuff on. I'm going to let him stab me. Now, the trick is, if he's too close, when he hits me, there'll be a bend in the blade. And we'll see how far away he can get from me and still hit me. Okay? Anytime. Now, what did he do? Something, whatever. Go ahead. You want to, if you think, I don't know, if for some reason you think that rice paper would be a good thing to try it on, have a party. The idea is, the better you learn this, the better it's all learned. And these are just the basics. You learn the basics, nothing will stop you. Because everything else, like I said, they have a lot of flash, but they don't have the foundations. Remember what we're saying about shifting sands, all this good stuff? They're trying to build a house with a roof first. Ain't going to happen. In the long run, foundation will always be flash. Any other questions at this point? Comments, observations?
As in melee, I don't know how to say it.
No, go ahead.
How you always do like fencing class in universities. What are the basic rules? What you observe and how you...
There is a significant difference between what the collegiate fencing programs do and what we do. And coming from a collegiate background, if you're coming from a collegiate background to the SCA, we do not allow saber blades. We allow the epées, foils, and schlaggers, various types of schlaggers. Yes. Now, with those three blades, we only have one targeting system. We use the epée targeting system, which is the entire body. The entire body is the target. So, yeah, so saying, oh yeah, no, I'm going to go do the cup shot. It's a legal target. If you can't defend it, a lack of preparation on your part does not constitute a problem on my part. If you don't want to protect them, like I say, active Darwinism. I go for brutal simplicity. It just works. Anything else? Does that help at all?
Yeah, I just...
Okay. Now, melees are their own little creature. I personally love them. I have a couple things I teach for melees, but even with melees, before you can do well in the melee, you've got to know how to do this. If you don't know how to do the basics work directly in melee. Because if you'll notice, the survivors, any melee, the survivors, the last ones there, they're always the ones that are well grounded in this. They know what they're doing. They might run around like chickens with their heads cut off, but when they stop to fight, always toe, knee, square, or not square, but ready, hands, whatever weapon's for. Any other questions, observations, things you've seen somewhere else, someone told you? Okay, so, yes,
More at the equipment level. I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
Right now. I'm across the board.
Yeah.
Got apparently some variances in what we have to do.
Mhm.
Looking for probably a
Gorget.
fighter's gorget functionally. Stuff like that, which probably doesn't make much difference all in all. Just
what, yeah.
I'm just curious what over here, what the head covering rules are.
Okay, for the head cover, for the rules, we require 3 weapons mask. We require back of the head protection equivalent to our armor standards. That can be either a flap, a hood, whatever. The back of the head has to be protected. Now, me being purely vanity, I went for the gusto. This is 16 steel all the way around. This will stop small caliber bullets. I'm not afraid of anything hitting my head with this. Yes.
The people who have a regular through weapons mask.
Yes.
They're looking for.
They're looking for.
A hood.
Let's borrow real quick. Thank you. Looking for. Here's your basic 3 weapons mask. This is the hood that I used to use. 4 layers. This was 4 layers of trigger. Now this could be. We could cut this up, attach it to the mask, whatever. But it has to be at least armor quality material, sufficient enough to where you put it on. Yeah, I know it looks like Speed Racer. Let's see. The entire head is still a target. So it has to be covered. Period. If I can see skin, you can see skin together.
Okay.
And I go with 1 warning. I give you 1 chance to fix it. I see it again, you lost. As for gorgets, for the schloggers and all that other fun stuff, we require a gorget. Thick gorget. Most people are tending toward the metal ones. The main thing they're worried about is covering the hollow of the throat. And that's what we're worried about right here. Now, me personally, I have a leather one. I have a leather gorget that comes right down to here. The reason I only need a leather one, though, the only reason I need a gorget at all for what I wear, now, because this is how I wear it. I'll show you this real quick. Oh, we have marshals here, right? Okay, we don't. Okay, cool. That's fine, too. Not a problem. That's okay. That's okay. No big deal. No big deal. See, I put the bib on this myself. This bib is 10 ounce leather armor. This bib is heavy gear quality. All right. The highest up this thing is going to go is right there. My head can't go back any further, and it ain't going to go down. It can't go down any further than that. The only reason I need a gorget is because of the design of the helmet. Right here, with the lames and the earpiece, There's nothing there. That's the only reason I need a gorget with this. And that's why I just need the leather one. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Any other questions?
Can you use this in armor?
Yes.
As you would
Yes.
in combat?
Yeah. Foils and epee with my gorget in this helmet. I just put that on. Foils, epee, slugs, doesn't matter. I fight all of them like that. That's all I wear. Most people, all they really have to do, because most of the people in this kingdom, they like wearing gorgets anyway, as a custom.
I've narrowed in on these things.
No, that's fine. That's fine. This is my gorget. That's all I wear around my throat. Just a little piece of leather right in there. Most people, what they'll do for foils and epées, they'll wear one of these right here, and what they'll do, the only thing they'll do for slaughter, they'll trade this out, and they'll get a metal one on in its place. That's all.
Otherwise, Slaughter's the same rules.
Oh yeah, exact same rules. The only thing we have different here, for the most part, we require a stiffer gorget, but like I already have that covered anyway. Because for example, I have that, but to get to that, you got to go through 10-ounce leather.
I was just
Yeah.
curious because a couple of years ago, I think there was a wider spread.
Yes.
And now it's gone.
Yes, there was
Same.
a couple of years ago. Yes, there was a wider spread, but that has changed significantly in the last 2 years. We have we really haven't changed our rules so much since I took office, but we just kind of got rid of the extraneous stuff, the useless stuff. That's all we've done. From what I understand, a couple of the other kingdoms are redoing their rules. I don't know if they're going to change our game. With me, as long as you're having fun and you're obeying the rules, have fun. If I'm doing my job right, no one's going to notice. Any other questions about equipment, anything? Yes?
Yeah, stance you're using, I wasn't here earlier, I used to use the case.
Yes.
For that, or two-weapon, how does the stance do?
3 stances. There are 3 basic stances. They apply. It can be used for either singles. All of you who were here for my earlier class about the various weapons forms, there is no difference whatsoever between the other weapons forms and single. There are 3 basic stances, and there are variations on each stance, but there are only 3. Now I'm left-handed, so let's assume that I'm swords in my left hand. Offensive guard, right here. Feet, just like they should be. Toe and knee pointing at my opponent. Square, back foot square, kick a little bit. Knees bent, body straight. I like keeping my hands at a belt, right about belt line. This is my defense. It's a windshield wiper. From the elbow here. Goes up to defend the shoulder, goes down to defend the knee. No further. I don't know if you were you here for what I said about place in the universe story? I have a very simple philosophy when it comes to fighting. Your place in the universe is between your shoulders. Anything outside of your shoulders, unless you decide to make it your problem, isn't. So if that's not my problem out here, I'm not going to waste energy to defend it. So I just defend to my shoulder. That's how it is. That's how it is single. With dagger, it's the same thing, only instead of moving at the elbow, it moves at the wrist. Blade goes up, blade goes down. Same thing. You're just defending the shoulder and your body. This is the offensive guard. I like keeping it mid-range because it's midway between the high and low. If I keep it high, there's more time and space I have to cover to get a low guard. If I keep it low, same thing in reverse. And with extra travel, extra movement, that makes it easier to overcompensate. And pretty soon, you end up throwing yourself back and forth like a teeter-totter. And all that does is get your head closer to your opponent. And eventually, you get to stand up off the ground and shake hands with the winner of the bout. And it won't be you. But this is the offensive guard. The principal thing here, offensive weapon, offensive foot, or forward. They're coming for you. They can go backward, but their natural tendency, they're going to attack. The reverse. Again, we're assuming I'm left-handed. It's a defensive guard. Defensive foot forward. Defensive hand forward. Note, however, the feet are the same. Front foot, pointing and knee, pointing at your opponent. Back foot is at a 90. Flat on the ground, knees bent. The rules are still the same. It's just a different application. All I'm doing here, this is a reactive. Because I'm giving them the incentive so I can sweep, long step in. Note on the long step, toe and knee at your opponent. Yeah, I know, I harp on it. Watch it. Watch people. I mean, just with what we showed you with the game, you can even do that with the game. Go through your various weapon stances. Now, the fun one, this is one of mine, my favorite, is a twisted guard. Again, assuming left-handed forward, or left-handed is offensive. The feet are in an offensive position. The upper body is in a defensive position. So it looks like this. What this does, this gives me a little bit of the best of both worlds, but a lot of the worst if I don't know what I'm doing. Because what I've done, your natural tendency, most people, most of your opponents do not look at your feet when you're fighting. So they just see this, and they think I'm a defensive, right? What I have done, I have not sacrificed 1 inch of my range. Because all I have to do to go from this to a full offensive lunge is turn my shoulders a little more than 90 degrees. From here, right. This is a passive-aggressive stance. Because with dagger or single, out there playing with their sword, as soon as I can clear it, create my own opening, bang. See? Those are the 3 basic guards. There are all sorts of variations. You have your scorpion, whatever. You even see some of the other manuals. You'll see a high Spanish guard. Now, even with all of these fancy guards, the one thing they all have in common, they're all of them. You will not see. I defy you to go out there and find a painting or picture of any of the master manuals where the feet aren't proper. Go look for yourself. Like I said, if you find one, if you can prove me wrong, let me know. I'll be more than happy to buy you a beer. You know, even with this, even with all these stupid guards, whatever. You have all these intimidating ones. You see some people hanging out here, or these rat tails, whatever. The feet tell you what's going to happen. If his sword's in his offensive hand, if his offensive foot is forward, he's coming after you. Don't care what the other body's doing. That front offensive foot is forward, he's coming at you. He's going for your throat. Simple as that. If he's defensive, he's giving you the initiative. Make the best of it. If he's showing you something weird, take the time, but always make sure you do this out of range. Never drop your guard in range. You see something weird, step out of range, scratch your head, figure out what's going. You go, oh, okay, that's what he's doing. Now go in. Guard is always the last thing that drops, and the first thing that comes up. When you're out of range, then you can drop it. Before you go into range, bring it up. Worst thing you could ever do is, what are you doing? I've seen it happen too many times. See people get stabbed in the face just for that reason. One guy did something. One guy did an incredibly intelligent thing. Booga booga. What are you doing? Yes. Distraction works. But, again, you got to have the basics. If you don't have it, And, yes,
Just one more time, the one you had, because I'm left-handed.
yeah.
The one you had with the defensive, where you're, what would be the move from there if you're swerving around?
Okay.
Taking a step forward?
Now, with the defensive, again, left-handed, the defensive guard. Now, this is a long step, because what you're doing, this takes a long time. Hey, we're talking, okay, in the Olympic sports we're talking about, this is a sport where the right of way is measured in thousandths of a second. If you stop for more than a thousandth of a second, they consider you to have frozen. So we're talking something about a very fast sport. So the move for this, to go from an offensive to a defensive, to sweep with the offhand or weapon, and then firing off the back leg, rotating into a long step into a lunge. So it'd be something like, see? Now I didn't do that properly because my front foot, yeah, I know, my back foot late started it. Same thing, double duty here. And it landed, it wasn't completely on target. That's the disadvantage. Also the other disadvantage is that's more trauma on that knee because you're having to fire and catch, usually about that quickly. But that's the move because you're doing that long step.
I think that's something you would recommend it to you to practice it.
If you want to practice it, fine. If it'll work for you, fine. You go right ahead. Again, I don't use that because by nature, I know how to get in a knife fighting range. I'm not that great at it. I'm a sniper, which means start with our game here. I know what my range is, and I know how far away you are from me. And from that range, I want you to start picking you apart all the way in, and as you're relieving, all the way out. That's how the sniper game goes. You're not throwing a bazillion shots. You're throwing 2 or 3. They're 2 or 3, and they're fine. Remember the quarter bit? You can hit a quarter. You can get to that point. Your body is big enough for a lot of quarters. That's a lot of space you have to cover. And everybody forgets about the big toe. They forget to guard the big toe. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Somebody, when I was in class, they said that I was having problems gripping the handle too hard. I couldn't get out of that.
Very good. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Very, very common mistake. I was guilty of it myself for 2 years. Okay? Now, don't think of this as a sword. Yes, overgripping is a problem. What happens? You overgrip. You got this death grip on the sword. Sword's not going anywhere, right? What's happened is now, instead of moving just the sword when you beat it, you use it for grab the sword. I want you to grab it, not hold it like you normally would. I want you to hold it like it ain't going to move. Play Highlander, I don't know. All right, now.
That's another question.
Okay, all right. Right here, see all this? Finger, thumb? Yes, his whole arm move. Now remember me being a sniper? I don't need to see that much. So, see the hand? A beat attack, the hand is open. Now, for gripping the sword, best way to grip the sword. How many people remember when they were in school? I mean, grade school. We're going way back. When you're sitting there having to do all the drawing, you're trying to do all that fine drawing. Everyone had these delusions that they were going to grow up and be the next Van Gogh or Picasso, whatever, with a little drawing. They're holding their pencil there like this. Think of this with a 3-foot paintbrush, a very, very fine paintbrush. Just paint your own. That's all you're doing. You don't paint like this. If you're going to do this, go get a Wagner spray roller. I don't know. But it's just, everything is right here. Index finger, thumb. All these back fingers do, they just keep the pommel on your hand. That's it. But all the work is done with the fingers and the index finger and the thumb. I cheat, I will use the middle finger as well, but again, it's the same thing. I have a 3-foot paintbrush, and I'm just going to be drawing my little picture. And, be dotting the I's, crossing the T's, making my little smiley face if I want to. Whatever works. Now, if that, just shake hands with the blade. That's all you're doing. You have your grip? Shake hands with it. I mean, you're not going to go try and crush everyone's hand every time you just shake hands with it. Firm enough to where you've got it, but not so firm as to where, it's going to go all over the place. See people get the sword knocked out of their hand? Largely they're over gripping. No, it's going away. Physics don't work that way. It's comfortable. Be very comfortable about it. Any of you who've read any of the martial art books or whatever, the more resistance you put into it, the more it's going to break. Be fluid. You have to be fluid. Fluid, comfortable, and things will just flow the way they're supposed to. Any other questions?
I kind of hate to bring this up.
Sure,
but
bring it up.
A while back, I saw somebody, I guess he had put a longer hilt on it, and he was trying to use it like a guitar.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I have seen a couple of people like that. One of them actually knows what they're doing. And, he's sweet to watch. Master Kobayashi from East Kingdom. Sweet. He's got his foil, and he's put a katana hilt on it. And he goes through all this because, he is Japanese. But, and he looks really good. And he does all of this katana work, all this good stuff, 12 feet away. His range is 11 feet. So all the flash, everything he does, all the big movements, is 1 foot out of range. Why 1 foot out of range? Because he's now 1 foot out of his opponent's range. You're going to do all the flashy stuff, do it out of range. When you get in range, it's serious. But yes, people trying to do the katanas, okay. Remember me being a sniper. Yes, I know, I'm a sniper. I admit it. I can't be bit down. I will be a sniper until the day I quit playing or until the day I die, whichever comes first. Basic katana stance, right? Me being the sniper. What do you see?
Heads and arms are pretty.
What do you see first? If you can't hold the sword, you can't kill me with it. So, I will take... You show it to me, I'll take it. Well, you took my hands. You stuck them out there. Well, that's not honorable. A lack of preparation on your part does not constitute a problem on mine. They'll get upset with me, fine. Defend it. My own king has been doing the same thing. Took him through years. Well, you're not giving me a chance to kill you. You have a sword, I have a sword. We're on the field, someone said lay on. That's your chance.
That's good.
So, well, you're hitting my hand. Well, you're sticking it out there.
You think after a couple times, you know not to stick his hands out.
Funny. Guess what happens now? He defends those hands.
You educated me.
Yes. Evolution in action. Yeah, he beats me. He's very, very good. I'm pretty decent too. It's just we trained with different philosophies and different styles. And, well, just like in any of the martial arts or any of the armed forces, there's that professional respect, but there's also that bit of a professional rivalry between them. Same thing. The guys who go up like playing the shield wall, they don't like snipers. Now, for all of you who do heavy stuff, just about everything we did, almost exactly, everything we talked about today in fencing translates directly to spears. Because all it is a 9-foot rapier. Everything. Almost everything. The only thing that doesn't translate to it is my twisted guard. That's it.
If you're doing spears, you'd have the same stance and everything.
Exactly.
Exactly the same.
The exact same stances, the exact same movements, and even with your disengages and point controls, the exact same drills.
Sounds interesting, Bubba.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. You was talking about using quarters earlier. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
we do that with the spears too.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, many, many moons ago when I was authorized for 3 whole weeks before I moved. You know what the most devastating move I made with a spear was? Against the knights? Disengage. With my spear tip. In my authorization bout. There, wait a minute. How'd you do that? You weren't supposed to hit me. I just did this. Or even beat attacks. So, everything except for the twisted guard. What keeps the twisted guard is with a twisted guard with a spear, you can't cover that. You can't cover that. There's your body in the way. That's the only thing. Everything else goes directly to spears. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How do you practice for the range game to get your range better?
I have a game. I went over this a little bit ago. No, it's fine. I'll go over it. I can say that.
No problem.
Say this for months. Just came up with it. Hey, new drill. It works. We'll go with it. Take your sword. Whatever. You go do this with rattan spear. That's fine too. The idea is find a fixed target, like a door, a wall, whatever, and see how far away you can get from the door on a full and with a full lunge. Just touch it. I mean, not pound it, not make this huge resounding echo, or put a bend in the blade or anything like that, or knock plaster off the ring. Just touch it. If there's a now, in order to do that, you have to have the footwork. The footwork has to be right. Full extension. I mean, a full proper lunge. If there's a bend in the blade, you're too close. Back up. And when you can get to it where you can just touch it, now you're solving both your range and your calibration. Because you get to just touch it, you do this routinely. Okay. Now, I'm this far away from my target, so that's my effective range. As you do this more, get more limber and used to it, that will extend. But anything closer than that, you can hit. And on their way in, you can hit them, and when they go out, you can hit them. And that's when you can really get into more advanced stuff like tactical thinking, like, okay, why do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? What part of it do I want to hit? But that's pretty much the basic game. But the key to it, though, is just touching with a full lunge, full extension, shoulders, toe in front toe and front knee pointing at it. Bang. Do that routinely. If there's a bend, back up. And you'd be surprised. It sounds really easy describing it, but as we went here with about 3 people, we went through 3 people in here trying this out. It sounded easy, didn't it? Was it? Like the simple things, sometimes it is the simple things that are hardest to do. That's the easiest one. That's the easiest one I can think of right there. Any other questions? That's it? Okay.